Hello and welcome back to Unmistakable Sweets. I'm Adriana and today I'm going to be showing you how I make my unmistakable vegan chocolate chip blueberry scones. Let's get started with some flour, 2 cups all-purpose flour. Then we're going to add in our 6 tablespoons of pure cane sugar, and then a 1/2 cup of oats, a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips, and then we are going to add in 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, now 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and now we're just going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt, sea salt. Oops. There we go. All right, and before we add in our butter and oat milk, we are going to mix up our dry ingredients. All right, that's enough, just a quick mix. And now our oat milk. That was 1/4 cup of vanilla oat milk creamer. It's a little bit thicker than traditional oat milk, and then it provides that vanilla flavor. And now we are going to put in our 10 tablespoons of butter. And that was cubed up to help it mix around the bowl. And now we are going to mix it again. So you're gonna wanna let this sit and mix up for a bit. It's gonna take a little bit for the butter and the oat milk to mix up with all of your dry mix. So just be patient with it, and you don't wanna mix this on too high of a setting because there is butter in there. So just, right now I have my mixer set to speed 2, which is pretty low. So you just gotta be patient with it. There's a little bit of oat milk left in there. All right, I'm gonna turn my mixer off, and with my bowl scraper, just going to make sure there's no flour or anything that isn't incorporated into our mix. I'm seeing a bit of oats and dry mix at the bottom of our bowl. So it's good because this is such a thick dough. It's good to just make sure it's all mixed together and kind of manually flip around the mix so that way the mixer can get to those bottom bits without over mixing your butter. So we'll give it one more go in the mixer, again on a low setting. Lock our mixer up. And while this mixes, I'm going to preheat our oven to 350. All right, that looks great. So I can see there's no more flour or any loose oats in the bottom of the bowl. So I know it's all mixed together. And the consistency of this dough is a little bit like cookie dough, but it's a lot more Play-Doh-y, if that makes sense. Let me show you the dough here. It's a nice, thick dough. Okay, so I'm making this with chocolate chips and blueberries, but you have the option to forgo adding the chocolate chips in the earlier step or forgo adding the blueberries in the later step because they're added at separate times. We add the blueberries later because mixing it up in our mixer would be a little bit too rough on the blueberries and they could pop. So we want to make sure the blueberries stay intact and we add them at the end. We are going to do a half a cup of blueberries in our mix. Lost a bunch of blueberries there, but that's okay. So we are going to just add it to our already mixed up mixture. And then we are going to take our handy dandy bowl scraper and just lightly pack the blueberries into the dough. But this is the most gentle way to do it. And if you notice that your blueberries are clumping in any way, you can use your hands and move the dough around. Just be very gentle not to pop any of those blueberries. Okay. I already see 1 or 2 little blueberries got popped, but that's okay. All right, let's start adding it to our scone pan. All right, so before we pop our scones into the oven, we have them all laid out in our pan, but we are going to make a secret egg wash, which is really just vanilla, oat milk creamer, and canola oil whisked together. So in a small bowl, I'm going to add in 1/8 cup of vanilla oat milk creamer. I'm going to add in the same amount of canola oil, and I'm just gonna whisk that together. All right, so you should see it's a bit of a thicker mix, and the texture has changed after whisking it together, and it's all ready to go. So what you can do here is either with your whisk, just simply take it and drizzle it onto your scones, or if you have a pastry brush, you can use that to brush over your scones, or you can just take your bowl scraper like we used earlier and simply paint your faux egg wash onto your scones. And this is the secret behind a nice crispy, creamy, soft top scone. Gives it a bit of a shine, and also if you wanted to do a little bit of cane sugar on top, it will stay in the baking process. So we're only putting a little bit on top of each scone because we don't want to flood the top of the scones, but we do want to make sure there's enough on each scone. And you don't want to press too hard on top of the scones because then you'll end up just mixing or losing that egg wash into the actual dough of the scones. So it's like a drizzle and a light pat. Okay, just looking if there's any that look a little too dry. Looks good to me. This guy, I forgot to do him. All right, and now you have the option to either leave it as is, or as I said earlier, do a bit of sugar on top, which I think I'm gonna do today. All right, we just have a little bit of sugar, and just with your fingers, sprinkle the sugar over your scones. All right. Once you've sprinkled the sugar on top of your scones, it's finally time to put them in the oven. All right, our scones are all finished, so we can go ahead and let them cool for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll be ready to take them out of the pan and plate them. And there you have it, your chocolate chip blueberry scones. Enjoy!